Good afternoon. Oh man. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Tuesday, May 17th, and it's the video that was supposed to be posted on Friday. I think I said May 17th. I may have said March. Sorry. I was supposed to post this video May 13th on Friday, but some shit happened last Wednesday. I just couldn't handle very well, so kind of made me just postpone everything. So I'm going to be posting two videos this week, one today, one tomorrow. Yeah, so both these videos are going to be not the greatest, but I want to tell this one, and the other one is kind of more. Both of these are crazy, but it's just. This is the story that I have not told anyone ever. I have not journaled about it. I have not wrote it anywhere. I have not written it anywhere. I have not told anyone, not a therapist, not my best friend, not my family, coworkers, nobody. Like, literally not a single soul on the planet knows this except for myself. It has been locked away in my brain since May 13th, 2016. But this year, for some reason, I just felt an urge to tell my story. I'm not making this. Let me get this very clear. This is not about me. This is not about me and the effects this had on me. This is about him. But this is just something that is very crazy that happened, and it's just very unfortunate, and I just want to make it very clear that I'm not trying to be like, poor me, poor me. No. We're not. Let's just nip that right in the bud. This is not about that. This is just some crazy events that led up to a very, very unfortunate ending, and I just wanted to share that. But I just wanted to give some backstory. So this person that I knew from when I was like 6 years old. We were in Little League together. He was great at baseball. I was terrible. I think his dad was the coach of our teams, like three of the 4 years I played. I actually have my Little League trophies on my shelf behind the camera. Big shock, I had participation trophies for the first 2 years because I didn't contribute at all. My third year he won like the conference championship, but I contributed 0 to that. Actually, that's not true. I think that was the year that I made 2 great plays. I threw out a runner at first from right field. The runner was not running very well, so everybody on the bench, like my coaches, were screaming, "Alex, throw to second, throw to second," and I threw to first, and I got the guy out. And they were all like, "You're dumb, but you did a great play." And I'm like, "Well, hey, he wasn't running, so like I just threw it there because guess what? He was only halfway to first, and I already had the ball in my hand, and I'm 50 feet from the bag, so just chucked it to first and got him out." And then the other play was like I dove and made a catch in center field, and when I popped to my feet, the guy that was on second base had already rounded third and was gone home, not thinking that I had any chance to catch it, because apparently it had gotten around Little League that I was like the worst baseball player. So like they apparently all like were secretly like, "Hey, the center fielder sucks. Any baseball hit to him, just run, because he's not going to be able to catch shit." And I caught it, and I doubled him up at second, and I think that was to win the game. So the only 2 things I did that were useful ever in Little League were those 2 plays, and I think that was during that year. But other than that, I think I had 2 hits, and that was not in one game. That was not in one season. I think that was the entire Little League. So in 4 years combined, I think I had 2 hits. But he was great. He was a great baseball player. I think he was great at pitching and everything. I think I hit more batters than I got them out. So it was just I was terrible at Little League. Anyways, so that's where I met him. We never went to the same school, not the same elementary school, not the same junior high, not the same high school, nothing. I don't think we went to the same any of those schools. But we reconnected later in life through, I think I had messaged him on Facebook. For some reason, I think I was just trying to like reconnect with like old friends, and I was like, I haven't talked to you since I'm 10 years old, so messaging you at 20 is totally normal, right? So that, that was just kind of like a, hey, what's up? And I think we talked for like a month, and then we didn't talk anymore, and it was because it was awkward. You know, I'm messaging somebody I hadn't talked to since I was 10, so it's like, why are you talking to me again? But then we reconnected over something that I'm not proud of, but you know, we reconnected over talking on Grindr, something that I have not been on in quite a while, and I'm very proud of that fact. But we had reconnected over Grindr, and I had no idea that he would even, you know, I mean, like I said, we really didn't talk or anything like that, but I was like friends with him on Facebook, so I kept tabs on him, and he had mentioned that, you know, he was dating girls or whatever, and stuff, and it was very, you know, it was a very confusing time for myself, because I had just gotten out of relationships that were not great, and then, you know, I've been going through that abuse stuff, because this was around end of 2015, early 2016. Obviously, I'm getting to May 13th, so I'm keeping the timeline, trying to keep the timeline going while not making a 50-minute video. So we reconnected over that, and we were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know how true it was, but he said I'm not out to anybody in my family, and you know, we never really got to talking enough to where I could confirm that or anything like that." And he said, "You know, I'm just trying to explore my options, explore my sexuality." And so I get that, you know, most people, or not most people, but like some people that are, you know, floating with the idea of am I bisexual or not, will consider, you know, am I half bisexual, half gay? Like, you know, it's just, or half straight, and I'm like, that's not a thing. Like, please stop with the stigma that bisexuality is like an option. That's not an option. It's something you're born with. Just like gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, it's something you're born with. Fuck all of you that think it's a choice. And I mean that. Fuck all of you that think it's a choice. It's not. I was never taught to be bi. I am bi, and I have a 5 foot by 3 foot flag on my wall that proves that. That I know that I am proud of that. And but anyways, besides the point. So he tells me that, you know, he's kind of just exploring and seeing how he is with guys and stuff, and how he'd been with a couple of guys, and that he was just, you know, he liked the feeling, but he wasn't quite sure still, and just kind of these things where we were just kind of bonding over that, kind of, sorta, and we had talked for a few months, and it was just very casual conversation. Like, we really hadn't talked about anything of substance. It was just very casual conversation, and then like March, April, we started talking more about, like, you know, I started telling him, like, if you ever need somebody to talk to, which I was not in the place to talk for that because I was drinking so heavily, but at the same time, because April of 2016 is when I almost died on my birthday. So April 8th, 2016 is when I almost died on my birthday. That was my 24th birthday. And I think he was actually one of the ones that messaged me saying, like, "Hey, I heard that you almost died at the bar downtown. Are you okay?" I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just laughing because, like, you know, here's somebody that I've talked to 5 times over a 20-year span, and you know, or 15-year span, and now he's messaging me out of the blue. Not out of the blue, but like he's messaging me to make sure I'm okay. You know, and we were just kind of talking back and forth, just, you know, about, you know, sexuality and stuff. And now he's like, "Dude, are you okay? I heard that you were you know, almost dead at a bar downtown last night." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He's like, "Are you really?" I'm like, "I don't know." So then we bonded over that. So I'm gonna turn my fan down because they're off because it's too cold in my room. Like the tower fan, I don't like the fan right over my head. So he messaged me about that, and then April went about, and we kept talking, and we were bonding over this because, like, supposedly he was not out to anybody, and I believed him on that, and it was just very touching that he trusted me with somebody who wasn't really part of his life, or maybe that's why he trusted me, because I didn't have a horse in the race. You know, I was very much an outsider looking in and just saying, "Hey, I can be somebody of unbiased opinion that can just talk to you and be there for you." And he, you know, and he talked pretty openly with me, and then, you know, he told me something late April that I was not expecting at all, and I did not know, because, again, we were just kind of talking very sporadically over really like a 5-year span, and then about sexuality and sexual preference and all that good stuff. And then he said, "Hey, I need to tell you something that I think you can handle at this point because like we've been talking long enough." And I'm like, "Okay." I was like, we're not talking about like, you know, getting together or anything like that, are we?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. We're getting pretty close. Like, you know, I think that maybe we could be, but like I have to tell you something." I'm like, okay, what is it?" And he said, "I have schizophrenia." And I was like, "Oh man," and I wasn't very like in tune with what exactly that was at that point. Even though I worked at a pharmacy, like, and I had dealt with like medications for schizophrenia, like I didn't really know. Like I wasn't very well informed. So I asked kind of what his symptoms were and kind of that kind of stuff, and he said, "Oh, I have it under control and stuff." And he told me that he was doing all right, and that was like April. It was like April 28th, I want to say. It was like April 28th, 2016. And May 13th was part of the week on at Walgreens. I'm just jumping straight to it. I can't keep beating around the bush. I just wanted to tell you some of the backstory so you just aren't getting the full brunt of this. So, like, we had bonded over his supposedly not out sexuality and just how he was exploring and stuff. And, you know, he and I talked so much over a couple months span. Not so much, but we had talked enough over a couple months span that he was like, you know, I want to tell you this and tell you this thing that's part of me, and maybe we can, you know, go out once and see how things go. And then we didn't, I messaged him a few times, and then his profile disappeared. And I just figured something was off. So I looked him up on Facebook, and he had blocked me. And I just felt in my heart that something was really wrong. So I wasn't smart. Well, it's not that I wasn't smart enough, but I felt that something had happened. Trigger warning right now, because I mean, I'm putting trigger warnings on the title and everything, but like, it's about to get very real now. But I figured something had happened. And this was like May 10th that his profile has disappeared from Grindr, and he blocked me on Facebook. And I was at Walgreens that whole week. I was probably working the deli too, even though that was kind of during my on and off, on again, off again kind of appearances there. I can't remember if I was working the deli or not. I just remember being at Walgreens. And I worked my overnight Friday night from 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. Friday the 13th into Saturday the 14th. And I got on Facebook on Saturday probably about noon before I went to sleep. And I was scrolling through my feed, and that's back when I had like 500, you know, Facebook friends, but there weren't like really people I acquainted with. And there were like 40 posts that I saw. That said here's the gist of every post was, "I can't believe the news I just heard about Adam." and not naming last names. And but every post had him tagged in it with first and last. My heart just sunk. Because I just knew something was off, but I didn't get close enough to him to where I knew how to contact anybody, and I didn't know enough about the illness to understand what it could do to someone. And inevitably, that's what took him. Stepped in front of a train. Just down the street from my house. I was thinking, what the fuck could have possibly been going on in his head that seemed like the best option. And it just hurt so bad to think of his family and what he must have been going through, and I selfishly felt so guilty that I could not do more, but then immediately just felt so sorry for his family. And I wanted to tell him what I had gone through with him, but they didn't know, supposedly, and to this day, I will never know. I will never know, just period. I will never know. And I didn't want that to be the way that he was outed if they didn't know. I didn't want it to be from a complete stranger. Because they're not going to remember me from 20 years ago. This shitty kid on a baseball team, they're not going to remember that. So I kept it to myself, and Friday was 6 years to the day, because it was another Friday the 13th. Because it was Friday the 13th in 2016. And I didn't know what to do, because I had to go back to sleep for work the next night, because every time I tried to call off at that store, they would tell me, oh, we don't have anybody to cover for you. So when I called my store and said, a friend of mine just died, they said, oh, that sucks, you gotta be here at 11. It had nothing to do with the company. It was just my coworkers couldn't find a way to cover my shift to let me grieve. I still had to work that night. If memory serves, that was a truck night, so I had to work extra hard that night. But the wake, I believe, was that following Tuesday, and I didn't have any work. Didn't have to work either job. And I remember going to the wake, and I was like, shit, nobody knows me here. Nobody's gonna know me, because I was talking to this kid behind closed doors as like a therapist behind closed door. And I went to the wake, and I didn't know anybody there. Not that I needed to. Like, it's a wake, and I was there to visit my friend. But I was seeing my Little League teammates that I hadn't seen in almost 20 years there. And it was the first time since I saw them when I was 7, 8 years old. And we just hugged. They recognized me right away because I look exactly the same as I did when I was 8, just a little bit aged. But my face really doesn't change that much. So that's back when I really didn't grow out my goatee that much. Or I think I clean shaved myself. I don't remember how but whatever. I looked exactly the same apparently because like all of my teammates from back then recognized me. And we all just got into a group huddle and we hugged. Or not all of them, but a couple of them. But regardless, we just... I mean, it wasn't like 15 kids, it was like 3 or 4, but still. We did like a group prayer, group hug thing. And I left, and I just couldn't believe that this sweet, sweet kid that, you know, everybody loved in Little League and was such a badass in high school, and, you know, I had gotten to know through something that I never thought in a million years we would bond over. Pardon me for all this grossness, but I'm crying pretty hard right now, and I'm trying to suppress it so I can talk. I'll cry after the video's over, to like bawl like a baby probably. But and of course I didn't have any water in the room. I drank all my water bottles this morning. But and then his family said in the obituary description, in lieu of flowers, we want people to donate to the schizophrenia research, or or hospital for schizophrenia research, something like that. It was something to that effect, and I think at that point I wasn't making like a ton of money because I was putting a lot of money into my back care at that point because it was right at the beginning of my back injury. But I think I donated like $1,000 because it was partly guilt, but it was mostly just feeling so empathetic and sympathetic for family grieving. And it was not a selfish act. It was not a, hey, look, I donated $1,000. You know, you're welcome. It was just, here's $1,000. I hope this brings a tiny bit of I don't know. I mean, I wasn't trying to do it out of selfishness. I was just doing it because I felt some sort of responsibility to do something and not just sit in the background and say nothing. I had to say something. And unfortunately, donating was pretty much the only thing I could do. Because there was nothing I could say without explaining how I became part of his life. I could say, yeah, I bonded with him over something that he didn't tell anyone, but then if they dug into it deeper, maybe they could have found out on their own, but maybe they would have been wrecked by it. I have no idea, and I didn't want to be a part of that. That wasn't my story to tell. So, every day, I think about him. Because selfishly, it's the date I never had. Well, it's not even the date I never had, it's the person I ever got to meet as that person. But selfishly, part of me wants to believe that had we met things could have changed. Things could have gone differently, but I'll never know. And that's what really hurts me and eats away at me every day, is just that even if, I mean, I don't think that dating would have happened, but just had he met me and known me in person, could things have turned out differently? But, like, I know that disease is so crippling. It hurts to not know what could have happened. And that's how a lot of people feel with suicides, and it just hurts to not know what the outcome could have been had just one event happened that didn't. And, it really hurts. And I'm not making this about me. I'm just saying that's why I haven't shared this story, because it hurts so badly to not know. And to know that you'll never know. But I think about him every day. And he's not the only person I know that's passed away that way, but that's the one that really, really, really hurts. Just because, as far as I know and will ever know, I was the only person he was talking to about that. And supposedly he was not out to anybody. And I will believe that forever, because I have no way of knowing if that was true or not. So that is my truth. That is his truth. That is the truth I'm going to believe. But it just sucks to not know what could have happened had we met. And now, and not, obviously we were 8 years old, 9 years old, whatever. So, I guess I'll end the video saying, Adam, hope you're resting easy up there, and I'm glad that you're not suffering anymore. But, man, I really wish that you and I could have met, so we could have seen the world together, and that, we could have figured out our shit together, because you know that I got some problems too. But, I'm just really glad that you're not suffering anymore. And I miss you, buddy. And everybody out there, just make sure that you're being compassionate for people with mental illness, and that be aware of warning signs. And if you see the warning signs, make sure you reach out. And please, for the love of fucking God, tell someone today that you care about them. Because you never know when that last time is going to happen. Fortunately, my last time saying goodbye to him was saying I look forward to our date. So I have that to live with, unfortunately. But I just know that he's not in pain anymore. But please tell someone you care about them. Please look out for warning signs of people that you know that have mental illness. If you don't know that they have mental illness, don't just guess, but also look out for the warning signs. Educate yourselves. Do not assume anything, but also do not deny everything. You just never know. I don't know how else to end this video other than that way, so that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow with something else that's a little scary. That is happening currently. I'm going to save that for tomorrow, because it's going to be another rough video. Take care of yourself, everybody.